Well, here we go. After a week off for the 4th of July, George, welcome to the Sports Wrap with George and Ringer. And I got to see an old player of yours.
What was that?
An old co-worker of mine. Yesterday, 2 days ago. One Michael Manassa.
Mike,
and and he said to me, "Where's the show been? You haven't posted. You haven't shared it." I'm like, "Well, we didn't do a show last week, and I forgot to share the other one." So I said, "Yeah, it's been a couple weeks." So so here we are back in beautiful downtown Rainier on a nice Friday evening. Not too hot as it's been for the past couple of weeks. It feels pretty nice and a little bit of a breeze. So where should we start?
Well, I think we have to start right at the top because I'll tell you, a week ago you were talking about dominoes and the world was going to come to end 1st of September with no football, and up the Big Ten pops up with they're going to run an all-conference schedule. And then you start looking around, and the Pac-12 is going to do the same thing. And I think Southeast Conference is probably considering something like that.
So let me ask you this question, George, because it's puzzling me a little bit. You know, and I try to understand things. So tell me why we're staying within the conference.
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think testing and testing criteria are easier to handle. I think that the cost and the risk of travel is eliminated. I think that there were 2 or 3 issues. In fact,
well, so here's my thing. So we're worried about college athletics,
right?
As a whole, you and I are.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the Big Ten. The Big Ten's worried about the Big Ten, right?
Yes.
So when they cancel their game against Florida Atlantic and BYU, and for some other reason I can't remember the third one. Tennessee, okay. 2 of those schools, the Florida Atlantic and Tennessee Tech, they were banking on the money.
Yes, they were.
That they were going to get to come to Minneapolis to play in those games.
Yes.
So to me, there's got to be a better reason for not having those games, because, and I understand maybe you're trying to limit the number of games that you're playing, and you play the conference games, but how is this helping to stop the spread of the disease? Because if you think about the Big Ten, you're going all the way from Nebraska in the west all the way to Rutgers in the east and Maryland. And so you're taking a pretty wide swath of land. So what difference does it make if somebody comes from Middle Tennessee?
I think the other thing is that they're buying themselves. I mean, most of the non-conference games
early.
They're on the 3rd of on the 9th of September, or 3rd of September, the 12th of September, and the 26th of September. 3 games in a row. So they're buying themselves a little bit of time,
so that they can cancel the season and move it to the spring, which is what I believe is going to happen.
Oh, that would be disastrous. I'll tell you why.
Why is that going to be disastrous?
Well, because you're asking.
You can't wait for your fix?
No, you're asking these kids to basically do 2 football seasons in a single year, in effect. And you're going to see a preponderance of injuries
the second season,
the second part of the season, and these kids need a little bit of time to regroup, and I think that might really be hard on the guys.
Yeah, I don't think they would play the full 12-game schedule and everything like they would normally do, but I don't know.
The one thing
I don't, and like what UMD and the NSIC did this week, they limited themselves to only conference games. Well, UMD only plays conference
games.
Only plays conference games.
Yes.
So they limited them to 10 games rather than 11, which okay, but you're still seeing teams 10 other times, and yeah. So
okay, but and I'll tell you the one question I have is sometime today, all the commissioners of all the FBS football teams are meeting, and the Big Ten announces this yesterday. Now, what is the purpose of that? In my idea, they're attempting to shove the whole thing to the edge, and people are going to say, we can't just let the Big Ten attempt to do this. And in spite of what the Ivy League wants to do or does. And
Yeah,
and
the
all
Ivy
rest of
League
that.
shut things down for
Yes.
all their fall sports are shut down completely.
And most, I know a lot of Division III schools are shut down.
And the MCAC schools all shut their the fall
MIC.
sports down, and matter of fact, shut down winter sports until after January 1st. So, I used the word dominoes with you earlier this week.
Yeah.
That when the MCAC fell, that domino was going to push, and then the Ivy League went. And when I saw on my phone yesterday that the Big Ten is making some big announcement, I thought it was going to be ginormously big, but it wasn't.
Were you surprised?
I was surprised that it wasn't that we're shutting down. I was surprised that it didn't go that far, because it's still there's still too many things out there, too many unknowns, and
The announcement that the Big Ten made was that they were going to allow anybody that felt uncomfortable playing under these circumstances to maintain their scholarship and continue going to school, and their status within the team would not be changed. And that was the big enunciation.
yeah.
But they brought up those three reasons: that it was easier to contain the virus within the conference in terms of testing, and that travel and a mixture of those items.
Yeah.
But the fact of it is, Tim, college football is about money, and it's about a lot of money, and it's how Notre Dame is going to handle having, if they even have a season, 15,000 people and what do they carry, about 110,000 in there?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, Stanford adds fuel to the fire this week, and they say they're cutting 11 varsity sports after this school year. Probably men's volleyball was probably the biggest one in that. But they have
quite.
Well, in your mind, wrestling is bigger. I get it. In some cases, yes. But to me, they had 36 varsity sports. Second most in the NCAA to Harvard and Brown, who had 40 varsity sports. And of course, you're starting to talk about the squashes and some there's some different ones there. But they're cutting 11 sports. They announced that they have a 20, I think it was 23 or 27. It was one of those prime or odd numbers, not prime numbers, odd numbered $27 billion endowment. The school does. And they're worried about cutting sports. I'm like, do you realize how much 27 billion is? And I know we're going to lose a lot of money on football. I get it. But that's with a B, not an M. That's with a B. That's $27 billion. And so
Stanford White wouldn't understand all of that. But I'll tell you what, the Minnesota Gopher wrestling team does, and Tyler Eschler is a 2017 state champion as a nice middleweight. As a freshman last year, he made the NCAAs, and he did a very nice job.
You're trying to recruit him home already?
Right now. And I mean, he goes to Stanford because he wants a math and technical and computer type education. And you realize every once in a while it's good to keep these kids right here. It's nice to have smart kids.
Yeah, sometimes kids like to get away from mom and dad and everything and go
I understand.
have a different experience. So, it's there's going to be some interesting things there.
Listen, I just want to go through a couple of games that I really would have liked to have seen. The Michigan-Washington game, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Iowa State.
That's
How
always
long
a
has
good
it
one.
been since they haven't played? Michigan State and BYU, Purdue and Memphis. I really like that Memphis team from last year.
Huh?
And you can wax those Purdue guys. That'd be pretty good. Rutgers and Syracuse. Rutgers, you got to watch out for them this year. These aren't going to be the floor mat like they have been in the past.
Okay.
And then Minnesota, I wanted to see them play Florida Atlantic, because Florida Atlantic's got a lot of zip. They play that triple option thing when Florida Atlantic plays Army or Navy. Oh, I love that.
Right.
It's just, there's 4 passes in the whole deal. So I'm going to miss those things. But I'll tell you, last week ESPN named Tanner Morgan and PJ Fleck as the best quarterback-coach combination in the country. Now, how they get rated 24 or 25 when they have the best coach and the best quarterback, I'm not quite sure. It's not that I'm a sensitive Gopher fan.
Yeah.
But you take a look at that and you just think, these guys really do have it clicking, and these kids really do believe in this guy.
You know, the thing I didn't read the article. I saw it mentioned. I didn't see the article. I'm kind of curious how they graded these coach quarterback combinations. Was it 10 guys sat down and checked off the list and said, well, here's what I think, or did they have some really good criteria? I don't know. I didn't look to see how they
Well,
did
I
this.
don't know, you know, but I tell you what, you know, I would have to think that evaluating that takes a certain amount of feel and not just data.
Yeah.
You have to see it work, and you've had athletes where it's just easily worked in. You just mentioned one a little bit ago, you know, and so, you know, I think that comfort level was there for both of them. And they're both getting what they need out of each other, and I mean, and then some. But I'll tell you, you know, one of the problems is 18 of 23 sports in the Gophers have international athletes. And if they can't keep these kids in school, there's a possibility that their visas aren't going to be renewed, and that includes my friend Big Danny. And that, you know, is one half of an offensive line.
One guy's one half of the
Yeah, and so I right now I see a lot of colleges, and I mean nationwide, really scrambling to try to protect their student athletes, because so many of them are coming from overseas now in every sport. 18 of 23 sports, and you know.
My question would be this, okay? And I don't want to get whatever, but you know, there's certain people who are trying to keep people out of the country.
Yeah.
I understand that, but we're the ones that got the bad rap for the COVID-19 and how many cases we have. So I would say that the people that want to come here and go to the universities and colleges, they're the ones taking the risk, not us taking the risk.
Oh yeah, we can't go anywhere. They won't let us into Mexico, Canada, or anywhere in Europe. But we're, you know.
But you would think if somebody wants to take a chance and come here, we'd probably say, well, yeah, if you're feeling comfortable enough, come on.
I'm going to suggest at least one thing, that these colleges are going to come up with some real unique skills to keep these kids in school. And you know, and there's just there was one young man from India, and he was a top shelf graduate medical student at Harvard. I mean, this kid reeked of bright, and they're scooting his butt out of the country. And I think, don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a messy. Not messy is not the right word. It's a complex situation, and I understand what we're trying to do, but yeah. So you want to stick with the? I see you got a Big Ten thing on your logo.
This was the full statement.
Okay, let her rip.
Okay, to the end. The Big Ten Conference announced today. Okay, it'll go on. It'll move to conference-only schedules in these sports. It includes cross-country, field hockey, football, men's, women's soccer, women's volleyball. By limiting competition to other Big Ten institutions, the conference will have the greatest flexibility to adjust its own operations throughout the season and make quick decisions in real time based on the most current evolving medical advice and the fluid nature of the pandemic. This decision was made of many thoughtful conversations, and then it goes on. The conference announced that the summer activities will continue to be voluntary, although Ohio State and North Carolina just dropped theirs the same day, so that's not hard to say. But that gives kind of in a nutshell what they're attempting to do, and whether or not you can straddle the line and have the best of both worlds, I don't know. But they are giving it a shot. They really are.
Like I said, how are they going to test how are they going to keep testing these kids?
Well, first off, they got to come up with some quick, reliable 15-minute tests, and they're right now we have. I can't believe in this country we're doing this, but we have 50 states all competing for these same tests, and so actually for major university sports, it's in many ways the state that gets the most tests.
Yeah. Well, and then of course, I keep coming back. Okay, you're gonna test people, and then you're gonna have all these. Somebody's gonna do something foolish, go out to a party after you've been into your major league team, and then you're gonna go to a big family gathering at a bar with no mask on, and then try to come back to your teammates. I won't mention any names.
No,
but you're gonna have. Remember now, these are 20-year-old kids, a lot of them, and they're gonna be wanting to spread their wings a little bit and get out and be social and see people.
Oh, they are.
So how do you keep these teams clean, for lack of a better term? Because I'm looking at the MLS. They've got 2 of their teams that they had to drop out of their MLS's back tournament because they got so many people that are testing positive. And these teams are like already grouped up.
And Major League Baseball's chugging along. There's people in all the sports that are picking this up. There was an article in the paper today about Zach Parise thinking that he found a way that they could do it without having the disease. But I mean, what a price to pay to play your sport. But of course, you're doing it to make a lot of money.
You're doing it to make And like I said, that's what it all comes down to. And so the MLS got started up this week, and they played a couple of games, and we'll see how things pan out. I think soccer fans were happy to see it back on the air. And
today I was going through the Gopher website.
Yep.
And they had on the Gopher website the Gopher podcast. And the Gopher podcast, it was the beginning of last week, was none other than Bronco and current assistant coach Ben Gordon.
Okay.
Benny Gordon was on there for 33 minutes, and he talked about growing up in International Falls, playing hockey for his father, Kevin, and I coached him 9th grade football. And we always said about Benny, he was a quarterback.
Yes, he was.
But he was the best singer on the team.
Oh.
He could stand up and his number one song was Beach Boys' Kokomo, and if anybody ever picks this up, he will laugh and giggle and sing you the song. But really good things for Benny. He's doing a nice job down there, and he's not the little kid I one time knew.
Have you driven by the homestead there across from the school?
No, not lately.
Well, they put up a flagpole here maybe a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Big American flag flying off of it for the first couple of months. The other day I drove by. Guess what's flying on there now? The American flag on the top, and right below that, a Minnesota hockey flag.
No.
Yeah.
That surprise is really surprised the heck out of me.
So Eli, of course, noticed this, and I said, remember now, that flag is cool, but it's not as cool as a Bulldogs flag. I said, let's go for hockey. I said, there's a different animal there. I said, we cheer for the Gophers a lot, but we cheer for Bulldog hockey, so we got to make sure we keep him straightened away.
I'll tell you what, and I don't want to backtrack, but last Saturday I was in the Rennie Lake Parade in the boat, and if I would have had a Bulldog flag, I'd have been,
You'd have been flying
proud.
it?
Yeah. And all the Bemidji people would have been upset, but that happens. No,
that's okay for them.
We can't just walk around without talking about my good friend Patrick Mahomes and his newfound fortune. Why are you shaking your head?
It's an amazing number, folks. When you're talking $500 million, not million.
Over $505 million.
When we were growing up, my younger brother and I, we always had Sports Illustrated, and he would take the covers off the Sports Illustrated and hang them up on the wall. As we got done reading them, cover came off, and we had the whole basement wall in our bedroom was covered with Sports Illustrated covers. And there was one of Ozzie Smith. He became the first $2 million per year baseball player.
Beautiful second baseman, St. Louis Cardinals.
And we were thinking, $2 million. Well, then a couple years later, Puckett became $3 million. Okay, that's pretty good. Think about this. We're talking $500 million. Now, you got to understand that's not per year. Obviously, $3 million per year was what Kirby got. But think about this. He, for the 10 seasons, is going to average $45 million a year to play football. I walked upstairs and said to my wife, I said, I think Eli and I should go out and play catch.
Right now.
With a football and see what the heck happens, because, it's something that's an incredible number. The scary part about it is only about 140 million of it is guaranteed.
Yeah, he's going to have to perform.
He even said, in order to have a championship team, you can't have one guy who's getting all the money. So it sounds like a crazy amount of money, and it is a crazy amount of money. But if things don't go right, if things aren't whatever, then there's really nobody. He can't be put to blame and say, "Well, Mahomes is making blah blah blah." Blah. Yeah, but think now. This is 2020. The last year of that contract, I believe, is 2031.
Yeah.
$45 million in 2031 might be a steal.
Oh, that very well could be. And when you're taking a look at this, one writer wrote that they think this won't be an anomaly, and then everybody is going to demand this whole price. And I'm thinking, no. Tom Brady, although I'm sure he got paid really well, he took some pay freezes for his linemen.
He took some pay cuts so that they could sign other players.
And Mahomes is an incredible athlete. He is where you'd want to start your team. On the other hand, they're calling it dynasty because he won one Super Bowl, and dynasties sometimes walk on pretty wobbly legs.
Well, you got to remember, yes, a quarterback is important, but it's not the only thing.
No.
And we've talked on this show. You know where we're going, where I'm going with this.
Yes, you are.
Offensive linemen are crucial, but so is every other position, and you've got to have a coaching staff. And I spent a little time this week in the evenings. I've got an ESPN Plus subscription for my phone, and mainly so that I could watch curling and other sports.
I see some incredible stuff on your phone.
So the thing about it is you can see all the 30 for 30s on there. So I was rifling through there, and our former head football coach here for 34 seasons was talking about this one called The Two Bills. And it's about Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells and their relationship. Well, I kind of had forgotten a lot of this stuff that happened, that, Belichick was a Parcells assistant for over 10 seasons. Yeah. And then the whole New York Jets, New England Patriots saga and the whole thing, it was an interesting thing. So the thing is, you also got to have a coach that can put everything together. And, Andy Reid is a great coach, finally getting that Super Bowl win last year. And but how long is he going to stick around? I mean...
Well, it's nice to have a good offensive coordinator. I'm telling you right now, there's a whole bunch of people... If you take a look at the great dynasties, 3/4 of the team's in the Hall of Fame. And it starts with a Hall of Fame quarterback, no doubt, but there's a Hall of Fame offensive guard or a tackle. There's a couple of tight ends, maybe a wide receiver or two, not to mention a whole bunch of linebackers, cornerbacks, and defensive. I mean, these people are all real good at what they do. And, so if he can lead these, who knows? Maybe they have a chance for a dynasty. They looked awfully good the last year.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's tough. The old movie, Any Given Sunday. It's tough, and obviously they're the team to beat because they were the last team with a win.
As you can see, you're still a great quarterback, but no way can he do this by himself. As we know, even the great Michael Jordan, he needed Scottie Pippen.
He needed Scottie Pippen and some help. And Dennis Rodman and those other guys.
That's right.
Well, it looks like we're going to stay with football with your J.J. Watt.
Well, I was just going to bring up J.J. because J.J. does so many things, and he's so out front. And I just said, why is J.J. Is he concerned about the health type thing? No, he doesn't want to wear any facial masks when he plays. And I would have a hard time wearing that. It's just a matter of practicum. I'm not sure I'd be able to breathe.
Yeah, I will say this, and obviously we're not wearing masks now, and I hope everybody's okay with that. I know some people might think we're nuts, but I was at a meeting last night where we were required to wear a mask.
There's mine.
And we were inside, obviously, and it was very, very warm, and it will take some getting used to if they mandate that we're going to have to wear these things inside a building. I'm hearing is a good possibility. It makes it interesting to think about where that means for bars and schools and other places where there's lots of people to do things. But we'll keep seeing what's going to happen. What do you got next?
Maya Moore. Tell me about Maya Moore.
Maya Moore. Wow. It's interesting because what she did with the case, she gave up a season of basketball, possibly more, to be able to go out and help this guy, and I can't think of his name right now. You might have it written down somewhere.
I do have it. Yeah, Jonathan Irons. He was 40 years old.
And got him out of prison, did some work to prove that he was innocent, that he had been wrongly charged. And I think one of her teammates, I don't know if she took a swipe at her or not, I'm not sure, but she said, I can do a lot of good social stuff by having a uniform on, rather than what Maya did with taking her uniform off. And so it's good to have people that are seeing both sides of it. I don't think it was a personal attack, but it was something to say, look, I respect what Maya does, but I would rather do it this way. I'd rather play basketball and be able to do things at the same time rather than quitting basketball. And I think Maya did it because there's no way she could have played basketball
while this was going on
and did what she maybe needed to do. I also think Maya was a little, Maya's a pretty good basketball player, and she wants to be the superstar, and to win championships, sometimes you have to give up a little bit of that and let other players be the focus sometimes. And I think Maya necessarily maybe didn't like that. And I think somewhere this is my feeling now, I have no proof of this is my interpretation, she didn't like some of the people she was playing basketball with, whether that's coaches or players or the Lynx ownership. We know how certain players feel about Glenn Taylor. He obviously owns the Lynx as well. So is there tough feelings there as well? So I get that, yes, this is an important part, but I also get the feeling that there were some underlying factors that, there's always something, sometimes you need a push. You're feeling like maybe this is the right thing to do, and then something else kind of pushes you and says, hey, if you go do this, then this relieves the stress on this option. So I would obviously love to see Maya Moore come back and play basketball for the Lynx. She would be a vital part to that team, but I don't think I don't think we're going to see her probably in training camp. I don't think we'll see her this season. So we'll see what happens.
When does their training camp start? The
training camp already started. The WNBA actually, they had some complaints, folks. I don't know if you heard about this, but where they're staying in Florida, some of the accommodations were less than thrilling, like rodent traps in the rooms. And other things there. Some people didn't think the food was too good. And then a couple of the Lynx players came out the next day and said, look, it's not that bad. We've had worse. We played college. We went to college.
Yeah.
So you got to remember where you're from and what you're doing. And the whole idea is to win basketball games. So let's quit worrying about. That's basically what the Lynx players are saying. Let's quit worrying about the accommodations. Let's go play basketball. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That to me tells me that they're on the right track.
Well, I tell you, and I don't want to kick this ball very hard, but to me, she kind of represents the Maya Moore.
Yeah.
There are a whole lot of young people right now at all levels that are very, very active. And I see they take a look at what's going on here right now, and they're not particularly happy with what the baby boomers have left them. They really don't want to live a certain style anymore, and they're going to be heard. And I think Maya Moore is, she kind of symbolizes that. If there was hidden agenda or not, this is the way it's come out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a running back down in Mississippi or Mississippi State that tore down the Confederate flag. I mean, the kids are saying, I can be listened to, and I really like that. And it's so I see this, I just thought, there's somebody that's whatever they're doing, they think they're doing right, and I'm telling you right now, Jonathan Irons thinks they're doing right too.
Yeah, and the MLS, a lot of kneeling, and the Black Power, the fist in the air stuff over the first couple of days of their tournament when they came back. So we're gonna see a lot of it. It's gonna make some people very upset. It's gonna make other people happy, and it's where we're at right now. And like I said, it's something that.
All in all, I think basketball, both men's and women's, have handled it very, very well. And then there's Kelly Lafleur.
I was wondering if we were going to go there or not.
I was questioning whether I should or not. But she's a senator from Georgia, and she's a co-owner of the Atlantic Dream, and she does not like things progressive, like kneeling during the national anthem and Black Lives Matter and the type of thing. So she's the uniforms. She's upset with that. I guess that's for the people of Georgia to retire her.
It's going to be an interesting thing there, because obviously a lot of things came out after she made that comment, and it's like I said, it's a political thing, and it's
we want our buckets.
and we're right. Yeah, we just want to see them play ball and do what they're supposed to do. But boy, like I said, it's a tough thing when you're trying to get through all that, and like I said, people are entitled to their opinions and say things and have what they believe is true, and obviously there's going to be people that are going to disagree, and it's a right to be able to do that. And I mean, the biggest thing to me is let's make sure that we aren't hurting people and everything else.
And if we want to get inspired, go watch the movie 42 again. That got me down to my nerves. No, so as long as we're talking about baseball, I'll bet you were watching the Broncos play ball last night, were you?
Not last night. A couple nights ago, I went and watched a little bit of the 14s. I did watch a little bit of the 19s, and of course the 19s are playing right now. Actually, they were up in Ely. They started at 1:15, and right before we went on the air here, I checked. There must be a rain delay, if you can believe that, up in Ely, because the game's delayed, and that's the only reason why I can believe that it's delayed. But they're actually ahead of Esco 5-1 in sixth inning, and they'll have a couple games in Sedan on Saturday and a game on Sunday back up in Ely. So we're actually, it's only a couple of weeks until their tournament, until it's playoff time. So I've been trying to get out and watch a little bit, and it's been a little warm. For me to like to stand out there, there's not much shade at Sheila Field.
No, there is no shade.
There's no canopy type thing for us old folks.
I thought about that the other night.
And so I stood out for a couple innings this week, and it was just like, wow, it is really, really warm. So, but the kids are playing hard, and I know Grand Rapids has come up, which shocked the heck out of me. Grand Rapids came up and played our 14Us and our 19Us.
Oh, all right.
And so I don't remember the last time, like Legion Baseball, that age,
they come up.
that they've even played each other, because they're in different divisions. And so everybody's trying to get games in. And so I'm giving Grand Rapids a lot of credit that both your teams came up to International Falls, because not every team would do that. Some teams would say, well, we'll take the forfeit rather than drive all the way to International Falls. We'll take the day off and we'll practice. So I give Grand Rapids a lot of credit. They came up and they beat our Bronco boys pretty good. Scores were pretty well lopsided, but they came up, they wanted to play ball, and so kudos to Grand
Greenway
Rapids.
and those inner central schools, they take their baseball serious.
Grand Rapids is very, very serious.
Very serious.
And, well, obviously, so is, like I said, there's a lot of those schools.
Yeah.
And so, so it's good to see some local baseball going on and things happening that way.
Okay, and we have a commercial to get by.
We have a commercial?
Yes. Well, the Bronco commercial.
Oh, you're talking about the car wash?
That's the one, the car wash.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because like I said, I forgot my notes at home, and I had a lot of this stuff written down. Yeah, the car wash coming up Wednesday, July 15th, 4 to 8 o'clock at the FHS parking lot, the kids parking lot, I guess is a better way of putting it. And bring your car down. And because the Broncos, who usually do burgers at the 4th of July, didn't get to do that obviously this year, they're going to have burgers there. So you can come get your car washed and get a burger basket for $20.
Oh, hey, what's the matter with that?
Not too bad. And Avery, burger basket after that's $5.
Yeah.
So you can come down and get as many burger baskets as you like, and that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And the kids will be out there, the football players and the cheerleaders, from 4 to 8 o'clock. I'm sure if they had to stay a little later, 9 o'clock-ish, they won't be past their bedtime to get everybody's car washed. But please come out in all seriousness. This is the fundraiser that the football team usually does most of their fundraising on. Their big fundraiser is the burgers at the 4th of July.
And what is better than a Bronco cheeseburger? That's just the way it is.
It is just the way that it is, George. I agree with you. And if I'm coaching this year, that is one of the things that I'm going to miss, is not getting the Bronco burger before the game. And but we'll see. So so again, Wednesday, July 15th, 4 to 8 o'clock, the student parking lot at the at FHS, or the Bronco Arena parking lot, if you think about it that way. And the kids will be out there washing cars. Again, $20 for a car wash and a burger basket, and $5 for each additional.
I gotta end if we're ending.
Oh, I don't know if we're ending.
I'm just going to say.
Are you feeling done? I don't know.
No. I'm just. The only thing is.
Oh, we're getting close to being
Tiger's coming back next weekend.
That's official?
That's what he says. Good news, Tiger's back next weekend for the Memorial Tournament.
That's one of his favorites.
Yeah.
And that's good for golf. Golf has kind of been one of those sports that's been playing, and people are, I think, watching a little bit just because they need that fix to do what we need to do. And
Well, I tell you what, I don't play golf. I know very few people that know. I know a few people that do. But when Tiger's out there, I pay attention.
It's a different.
And if I got nothing to do, I'll watch 18. He's a different
animal.
He's an amazing athlete, and at his age, to watch him pop those things up, and he seems to, when he's enjoying his game, he is unbeatable.
All right, a couple things as we wrap up here. I want to say thanks to Dave Johnson publicly. He got a hold of me this past week. He loved our Aldo DeMarchi talk at the end of our show here a couple weeks back, and he wanted me to share that with his family, Aldo's family. So I did that during this week, and so I want to say thank you for Dave for giving me a call. And like I said, if anybody else has anything that they would like us to send to somebody or let somebody know, again, if you're watching this on Channel 7, great. But it's also available on YouTube, so always go look up the Sports Wrap with George and Ringer, and tell your friends that they can watch the show, or if there's something that you want people to see, you can always go there and do that.
Washington, Oregon, Massachusetts, Florida, Texas, they're all back there, and I threaten them. The next time I see you, I'll yell if you don't watch, and they always watch.
They always watch.
They always watch.
Tim Mellstrom was back in town this past week.
Melly?
Melly was very good. We went golfing yesterday, so I got to share a little story. So we're on the 17th green. It's, it was a warm day on Thursday, and not horrible, but it was warm enough. And so after 17 holes, even though you're riding in a cart, it was a long day. So Mr. Mellstrom's about 50 feet up. He's just onto the green. Charlie Anderson, he's about 35 feet just over to the left, just on the green. So Melly gets up and he lines up the putt, and it's rolling pretty nice. And Charlie goes, I think that's got a chance. Boom, right in the hole for a birdie on 17. So about a 50 to 55 foot putt. So Charlie lines up his 35 footer right on top of his buddies. So back-to-back birdie putts. So you don't have to necessarily watch golf on TV to see some good putting.
Yeah.
So we had a good time though.
So what did you do with your putt?
I missed about a 12 footer.
Well,
and
you just for the love of the game. That's all.
I played the golf can be unforgiving sometimes.
Oh yes.
I actually, the last time I went golfing, I had a couple of 10s. When you hit it in the water and then a ditch and whatever else, and those things happen. But I didn't have any 10s yesterday. But I shot a total score that was worse, which was very frustrating. I only lost 2 balls in 18 holes. That's pretty good for Tim. I'll take that for.
By the way, I have to tell you about the T-shirt.
Well, of course.
The Toledo Mudhens, 1965, and you remember, Toledo Mudhens was the favorite baseball team of Corporal Klinger from MASH.
Yes.
And he couldn't wait to get back to Toledo to watch his Mud Hens, and he would wear any numerous dresses to get it done. But the Toledo Mud Hens were really quite an amazing team, and after the 1966 team, in which they set all kinds of records, were rarely beat. They were bought by numerous teams, but they were at one time owned by the Minnesota Twins.
I did not know that.
And when they were with the Minnesota Twins, they had Billy Bean played for them, who went on to become Moneyball, and they had Kirby Plunkett play for them. And they also had, and this is one of my favorite baseball players, Moberg. Moberg was a 15-year nondescript catcher who just spent World War II as a spy for the OSS, and it's a real life story. And there was one scene in the movie. They have a movie about it. One scene in the movie, and a bunch of guys are playing baseball, and he picks it up from the outfield and fires at the home plate, and people look at him like, "Who's this guy?" And then somebody recognized him. He says, "You're Mo Berg. Will you come play with us?" And but he was an incredible man, very, very smart man, and you don't have to be Willie Mays to love the game. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Coming up this week on Tuesday the 14th, Huffer Christensen's birthday, and I didn't look to see how old Huffer would have been, but Huffer was a Bronco just before you were a Bronco.
Yes.
And
I always remember Huffer doing one thing. Every time he got the puck, he'd have this smile on his face. It was half joy and half sinister. But I'm sure that the people that were trying to defend him saw just the sinister part.
Yeah.
And those of us that watched him the other end watched the joy. So he was one of a kind.
Yeah, I heard some stories when we inducted the '62 hockey team into the Athletic Hall of Fame, and Huffer was a little shorter in stature than the average person, but that allowed him to escape some checks. And so his favorite move was to take the puck into the corner and then drag the knee on the ice and get underneath your check. So you're trying to hit him with the hip, and he'd go under your hip. He would be so low, but he controlled the puck the whole way through and come out never unscathed, and then make a great pass to score.
I one time heard a Big Ten coach say, watching Huffer play hockey, he invented a new game. He took the puck and wouldn't let anybody else play with it. And that was kind of a good description of him a lot.
Yeah, Huffer was an amazing with the puck and could do a lot of things, and not only in the Bronco Athletic Hall of Fame, but numerous other Hall of Fames along the way.
Yeah,
and
very charismatic.
And very charismatic. Great guy, and unfortunately we lost him here a couple years ago. And so anyway, coming up on the 14th would have been his birthday. It's always good to talk about your former Broncos, and of course you talked about Ben Gordon, Mike Manassa.
Manassa.
When you get those people in the
these are standard setters, These are standard setters.
It's easy to get ratings when you mention those people's names.
It really is. And remember, Benny, Kokomo is a good song.
Kokomo is the good song.
Beach Boys, Kokomo.
You got that on an LP?
I probably have it on a CD.
Yeah, Kokomo's got good memories. After the Proctor game, the Bronco football game in the playoffs, the year of the strike when we beat them down at Public School Stadium, and when you were on the bus with Stewart, there wasn't a lot of noise on the bus. Things had to be pretty quiet. But I'll tell you what, after we beat Proctor in that playoff game in the semifinals, the boys were belting out Kokomo as we were heading up the freeway into Proctor to come on home, and all he could do was smile.
All he could do was smile. Yeah. The boys like to sing after a win.
It's always good.
Yeah.
Always good. Anything else?
Next week?
We'll shoot for next week.
We'll shoot for next week.
We'll shoot for next Friday. We'll try to keep everybody dialed in on what's going on with the sports, and maybe a couple other things going on around what's happening. Don't forget about the car wash.
No, the car wash is big.
Thanks, everybody.
Finlander, we'll see ya.